Hey everyone, this is DW's Darius, and today I want to give you a full fish room tour. Starting off, we have my 350 gallon aquarium. The fish in this tank are some of the most decorated fish that I keep, but their beauty is deceitful. These are among the most aggressive fish I've ever kept. The tank was initially intended to be a Central American cichlid community, but I'm finally accepting the fact that Central American cichlids hate each other. So now I'm just aiming for a community of colorful fish that will coexist together in peace. When you last saw this tank, I had fish that I wanted to remove because they were being targeted with excessive aggression. The plan was to remove the fish and add them to the tank below this tank. However, before I was able to install the tank below, they killed one of the fish that I was planning on moving, my female parasite cichlid. After her death, I removed the other fish that were targeted. Since then, the tank has been quiet in terms of aggression. My black belt cichlid is the reigning tank boss. Second to him is my bifasciatus cichlid. Then my pink fenestratus. My parachromis species take turns dominating over each other, and currently my jaguar/dovite hybrid is higher ranking. Then I have a young female feste cichlid growing nicely. She's focusing on getting bigger, and I'm sure once she's the same size as the parachromis, she'll start to show her true color. I have a young fenestratus cichlid staying humble as well until it gets more size. My starry night cichlid likes to stay in her favorite corner, and then I have a small female feste who's at the bottom of the hierarchy. From here, I would like to add some more large ditherfish. I'm growing out a group of banded leporinas that I think will look great in this tank. I also consider adding my bala sharks back to this aquarium. I'm not sure which ditherfish will work best, but I won't be adding much more cichlids because these current fish made it obvious that they don't want any more competition. Under my 350 gallon aquarium, we have a 125 that I previously labeled the reject tank. Initially, I added my male bifasciatus, who was being targeted by his brother who lives in the 350. I also added the female jaguar hybrid, she was being targeted by the dovite, and I also added a female zonatus who was just intimidated living in the 350 with much larger fish. Initially, when I put him into the aquarium, the jaguar dovite hybrid was being extremely aggressive, and she tried to dominate the other two, so I ended up taking her out and putting her back into the 350. The two remaining Vieja ended up pairing up. They came close to spawning, but at some point the female offended the male, so he's been giving her the silent treatment and staying away from her. Overall, they both look pretty good in this aquarium. The male bifasciatus is actually looking better than his brother, who was once more dominant than him. I tried to add platies to this tank as ditherfish, but the female zonatus ended up being very aggressive towards them, so I removed them. My plan is to leave these two in the tank, and if they breed, it will be a nice reward. This is my quarantine tank that I'm currently using as a grow out tank. I have over a dozen platies. Some came from the Central American tank next door, but most were born in my 20 gallon no-tech tank. You'll see that tank later. Eventually, once they're bigger, I would like to include them as ditherfish in one of my cichlid tanks. I also have two small silver dollars growing out in here. I'm looking for larger species to school with my wide bar silver dollars. I'm hoping that these two are baby red hook silver dollars, but honestly this was an impulse buy, and I'm not actually sure what species they are. This is my largest tank, my 880 gallon plywood aquarium. The fish include my cichlid azul peacock bass, my Crinus cichlid lenticulata pike, the biggest fish in the tank is my cichlid tendensis peacock bass, which is over 2 feet in length. I have two Cicla monoculus, my old female which is on the left, and a young male on the right. I have my green goblin cichlid, Mesoheris gfreus. My Cicla Orinoco likes to stay high in the canopy of the plant roots. Along with him is my Xanthic jaguar cichlid. I have two 4-line Pictus catfish in the tank. One likes to stay behind the rockscape. Lastly, I have a Polypterus and a Cheri. I want to take the Polypterus out of the aquarium because he's having a hard time competing with the peacock bass. If I catch him, I'll most likely add him to my 350 gallon aquarium for a little while, just so that I can have time to observe him. As much as I love my peacock bass, I'm prepared to rehome my Temensis as she is getting too big for my aquarium. I will only give her up though to somebody with a larger tank. I'm growing out my wide bar silver dollars that can reach up to 10 inches. It'll be years before they're big enough to enter into this aquarium, but when they are ready, they will look great in this tank. Next, I have a double rack of 125 gallon aquariums. On top I have my grow tank, which includes my wide bar silver dollars, my banded leporinas, and a group of giant danio. The giant danio are one of my favorite groups of ditherfish because they form a symbiotic relationship with other fish in the tank. The energy of the tank is based on the giant danio. When they swim casually looking for food and playing around with each other, everyone else in the tank swims openly and without fear. But when the danio starts to swim frantically in panic, everyone else sees this as a sign to quickly go and hide. Very few fish control the atmosphere of a tank like giant danio do. As for the cichlids in the tank, I have a dominant Viejas in the spilum, which is showing great color at only 5 inches. I think to get the most out of this fish, he has to remain dominant, so eventually, while everyone else will graduate from this tank, this will end up being his home. I have another Cinespillum that's about the same size that I plan on adding to my 350 gallon tank. Along with him, I would also like to add my Criboheris rostratus to the 350. I have an electric blue carpenter cichlid that might stay in his 125 with the Cinespillum. I have two jewel cichlids that I bought as an impulse buy. If they color up, I'll keep them. If not, I'll rehome them. And finally, I have my black chin tilapia. I didn't intend on keeping these fish, but I love their personality and they're very mild-mannered in terms of aggression, and the males look great. For now, they'll stay in this tank, but eventually I may add them to my 210 gallon aquarium. Lastly, we have Eugene the panther crab. He's doing great in his tank, and he's getting big. He's almost 5 inches across. Being that everyone is used to him, I plan on keeping him in this aquarium, and eventually I may get some more. Next we have Indonimus. He's doing great, but it's starting to look like he's getting too big for this 125 gallon aquarium. At the moment, I don't have space for a larger tank, so the only other option is to try to include him into my 880 gallon aquarium. I'm nervous about the idea because he would have to survive tank initiation, where every fish in the tank challenges him and try to put him at the bottom of the hierarchy. If I tried it, I would have to schedule a vacation from work so that I can observe and make sure things don't get out of hand. Please let me know in the comment section below if you think I should try to add him to the 880. Next we have my 210 gallon aquarium. At the moment, this is my most relaxing aquarium. Of all my tanks, this is the most screensaver worthy view. I have a mix of peaceful fish including rainbow fish, denensis barbs, tiger barbs, clown loaches, and 5 large bala sharks. Now this tank used to have African and bonus cichlids. I rehomed the adults, but there were babies that I couldn't catch, which have now grown up, and there's at least 10 inside this tank. I want to remove them, but I would likely have to tear this tank apart just to catch them. I also have my African tiger scat in this tank. He's one of my favorite fish, but he's very aggressive towards my rainbow fish, and he's disrupting a piece of the tank. I want to add him to my 350 gallon aquarium, but currently he's too small to eat the food that I feed to that tank, so either I'll keep him in this tank until he's big enough, or I'll put him inside of my 125 grow out tank. Besides that, I really enjoy the activity of the fish in this tank and the diversity. This is a first look at my rebooted 40 gallon reef tank. This tank was a reef years ago, but I shut it down to pursue my larger freshwater aquariums. Now that my large tanks are established and low maintenance, I decided to dive back into the world of saltwater. This time I'm using a secret weapon to help me so much with my freshwater tanks, plants. I'm using marine plants or macroalgae to remove nitrates and to create a low maintenance reef tank. I'm currently working on an evolution video for this tank, so in a few months I'll give you guys a true introduction. Next we have two 20 gallon aquariums side by side, my no-tech aquariums. With these tanks, the green canopy growing above the water is a sign of the life below. In the right tank, I decided to add platies. These fish are very colorful and can tolerate the temperature swings of a tank without a heater. They are also among the easiest fish to breed. They live in this tank with a male paradise gourami. One of the issues with this tank is that the plants are growing so much that the fish are running out of space to swim. All the plants that you saw inside of my 20 gallon quarantine tank came from this one tank, and I still have too many plants. On the left, we have a colony of cherry barbs. It's always rewarding to find baby cherry barbs in this tank. They live with a blue gourami. I'm having issues with green hair algae in this tank, but I'm sure it has more pros than cons, as this is most likely where the baby cherry barbs hide. The hair algae also helps filter the direct sunlight, preventing the plants from getting covered with brown algae. Once the cherry barbs are bigger, I will clean some of the algae out so that the fish can have more swimming space. This is my 1,000 gallon pond. Since my last pond video, some of the plants has produced bloom and flowers. I'm trying to train my rosy minnows to be more interactive, which will be a nice treat for visitors who see the pond. I am noticing that some of the fish are disappearing, and this is likely due to the snakes in the area, so I'm still looking for a way to repel them. Besides that, everything is growing nicely. The last stop on this tour is going to be a quick look at my above ground pond. That's about 120 gallons. I currently only have a few goldfish inside of here, but this is a great setup for tropical fish during the summer. Soon I may add my black chin tilapia to this pond to try to breed them, or my wide bar silver dollars to see if I can speed up their growth over the summer. So that's been a look at all my aquatic ecosystems. If you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment. If you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching.